everybody, it is showtime for the next NIOH skill tree video. Today will be the TONFA. Very, very powerful weapon, although at some points I feel like it is outshined by the fist, but we'll get into that later. Right now, I'm going to go over what the TONFA do and what they're best at. So, TONFA are a very fast attacking weapon. In fact, I'd probably say they're one of the fastest attacking weapons in the entire game by far. I will show you right now, before we go over the TONFA, the skills and everything, just a single low stance heavy combo. Look how quickly he's already got all those status effects on him. I'm just doing, that was simply me doing one heavy and one light combo after a Kai Plus. So yeah, they're really fast. They're really fast, although they are overshadowed by the fists that were in the first DLC. So let's go over the TONFA and their abilities. TONFA are a really weird series of weapons. First thing off is they scale with a very strange series of stats, with being, well, Constitution, Dexterity, and Courage. These are a really weird pair of stats, especially in context of other weapons. Keep in mind, Constitution is your main health stat. Dexterity is your, well, it's your ninjutsu, and it mainly affects Kisaragawa, which Kisaragawa aren't actually the best synergy, in my opinion, with the TONFA. And then the last one is Courage, which is the TONFA's main thing, and it mainly affects your Kai regeneration. So this is a very oddball series of stats the TONFA has. But you know what? It actually works out pretty well for a good few builds, especially ninjutsu builds. Thanks to that dexterity scaling, you can use a chassis and mark that as a A- scale for dexterity if your dexterity is 99, like mine. And it will actually make quite a bit of difference. It will make a significant bit of difference in that damage if your dexterity is high. Plus, you can use very powerful ninjutsus, which is pretty good. I will say, however, before we get into the moveset, that TONFA, their best synergy is, in my opinion, with either the axes, the dual axes for a bit of long range gameplay, or the fists themselves. However, the fists kind of overshadow the TONFA's playstyle thanks to their synergy. So another thing you could do is you could use the axes with their synergy with Courage if you don't want to be a ninja. If you want to be a sort of a ninja, you can go into fists, or you can go into split staffs if you don't want to be a ninja, because split staff works pretty well. But I would say the TONFA's synergies are kind of limited. You could go Kisaragawa, but once again, you're kind of gimping yourself when you do that, because the Kisaragawa, while it does scale with dexterity, it has no other similarities, and not only that, it fills the same niche that the TONFA does, not the Kisaragawa. Yeah, the Kisaragawa fills the same niche that the TONFA does, with quick hitting, fast attacks, so you don't really need that. Other than that, I'd say your other best bet is probably maybe the clubs and hammers. I'd say the hammers specifically. And that's kind of about it, really. I mean, the axes could also work, but that's about it. The TONFA are a little bit hard to actually pair anything with. I usually use the axes specifically for their throwing abilities, and that's about it. So let's get into the moveset of the TONFA, and we'll get into the specialized little things it can do. First off, the heavy, I will warn you, there are a lot of swings here. The heavy moveset is pretty simple. You start with a single thrust downwards, then a stab, and then a slam to the back, which will allow you to kind of roll in certain directions you wouldn't be able to normally. That makes that a forward roll instead of a backwards roll. Like if I did that normally, it would be a back roll. That does make that a forward roll, because my character is actually facing away from the enemy. It's very hard to tell, but he does he gets back into position and then rolls. So keep that in mind, because that's not the best, especially if you're doing that off your last attack. That's why we have Demon Dance, which we'll talk about later. Heavy attack is just one slam. It's just one slam attack, and then into a sort of cross attack. You are off the ground, but you will not dodge anything from it. You're pretty much always going to get hit. That's the heavy stance. Mid stance, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 attacks. 2 slams, left, right, right, left. Pretty simple. Mid heavy, cross, and then another cross. With a slam to the side. So 1, 2, 3. You attack with both of them simultaneously. 1, 2, 3. With the mid stance normal swings, the mid stance medium swings, you actually attack with each of them individually, and then for the heavy attacks, you attack with both of them simultaneously. Cross in, cross out, cross in, cross out, and then final one is cross in, cross out, slam to the left. Go. Low attack is where things get insane. Low stance is really fast. 1, 2, 1, 2. Keep in mind, you're attacking more than once there. If you cannot tell, that's 2 attacks. That is 2 attacks. Hold on, let me show you. That is 2 attacks. I pressed that button once. That's 2 attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was the special thing we did over there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You do about 10 attacks there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the heavy attacks, pretty simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. The dodging attack is just simple. It's a slam. Slam. You can combo into. Pretty good. Alright. So, the TONFA are very powerful for... Let's go over what they're really good for. They're really good for applying status effects. More than the fists are. That is a very odd sentence for me to say, but the TONFA are actually better at applying status effects than the fists themselves are. What I mean by that is normally the fists are kind of the undisputed king of status effect management. Especially when it comes to status effects like poison and such. That's why on my own personal fists I actually have the poison status effect on there. But, oh boy, the TONFA are a good bit better at that on that category. Keep in mind, this is a dual TONFA. This is a dual elemental TONFA. And I am applying I applied both of my status effects to them there. The damage on this is kind of low. It's only 1,580, which is low for my weapon. Considering my main weapon, my standard sword, does 2,109. But even still, it is pretty powerful. So, getting back into this. That's what you can kind of do with a TONFA, just in the low stance. Let's get into its special abilities. So, the Mastery. These are actually really good. The TONFA has really powerful mastery abilities. So, first one up is Apocalypse. Apocalypse is strange. It's not actually too useful because, once again, Apocalypse is overshadowed by a certain ability from the Fists skill tree. Where is it? There it is. The Fist skill tree has a similar ability. In fact, it has 2 very similar abilities. Where it encourages you for activating skills and attacking. In a very odd sort of way, but it does. We already got this for the Fists, which is awesome. And these are the 2 secret skills for the Fists we'll go into later. But, yeah. We'll be going into those in their own separate video. But yeah, it is odd, because the Fists also have stuff like their power-ups and buffs that you get from doing combos that increase your attack. So the Tonfa's skill mastery over here, Apocalypse specifically, while it is powerful, very powerful, if you want something like that, you should go to the Fist. However, Tonfa do have this other one, which is Kananagi, I believe is how you pronounce that, which allows you to cancel techniques using Demon Dance. What is Demon Dance? Demon Dance is your Kai Pulse. See how I kind of do this weird sort of jump backwards when I Kai Pulse? You can cancel techniques like this, if you had it, with Demon Dance, which is actually very powerful. So if I'm in the middle of a fight with a yokai, I go 1, 2, 3, and then I decide, oh, gotta use a technique. But he's about to swing at me, I could then Demon Dance halfway through that technique and immediately get out of it. Which is really cool. 4, 2, 4. Yeah, he's got both status effects on him. And then we should... Something I will note is if you do plan on doing like a Tonfa status effect build, going into the ninjutsu tree and getting more damage on your status effects is really good. Alright. This Kanagi. It's really good. Really good. I'd pick this one up specifically. Next up are the Demon Dances. These all do the same thing, but for different stances. They allow you to evade attacks when you Kai Pulse. It basically functions as a very long iframe. And then the Heavens. These are combos you can do after Kai Pulsing. You've probably seen me do it a good few times on this guy, but he's getting bullied very badly. If you go into a combo, and then you Kai Pulse, I'm doing it right now, it's actually like a little combo you can do after Kai Pulsing. Which is very powerful, especially with Demon Dance giving you that window you need. Because the thing is, Demon Dance, it's actually a long iframe, right? That is quite long. Keep in mind, the entire time I'm doing that, I have an iframe. I just have iframes. I'm invincible. So what you can do is you can pulse Demon Dance and then immediately go into this, and that hits a lot, does a lot of damage, regardless of your stance. And it will hurt a lot. That's a very long attack, and you can then Kai Pulse from that. You can then Kai Pulse from that, go back into it, why not? Or go back into a combo, or do your spinning attack on your Kai Pulse. It doesn't matter, you can do whatever you want, you're safe. Demon Dance is one of the strongest abilities in the game because of how safe it allows you to be. Keep in mind, it's not one button press, you do need to continue the combo, but you can just keep doing this. Because you are so safe during Demon Dance. It is so powerful. Alright, next up. Those are the Heavens. Now, Mountain Breaker. Mountain Breaker is a high stance whole triangle guard attack. Pretty simple. You land, jump and land. It's just a slam. It's one of the weaker ones, but I'd say it does have utility on breaking the horns and posture of yokai. Like this. And then you can go into your standard attacks if you want to. He does give you a good bit of mobility. You can kind of move to the left or right very quickly. You don't have any air control, but you do have... You're very slippery when you use this. You're very slippery. You're very slippery indeed. Oh, look at that beautiful stuff. That was the Heaven techniques. That was it. Look how beautiful that is. So yeah, you're very slippery when you do this because you kind of slide off of things. Like if I do it towards this pillar. Oop, there we go. I will slide off the pillar. You will not be stopped. You'll just slide off the side of it. Even against enemies like humans, which are usually weaker than yokai, usually, except for bosses. See, I slipped right off him, right past him. While he will still keep, like, some direction of me, I can get behind him pretty easily. Whoop. There we go. I can get behind him pretty easily with this, but that's not the main thing. This is sort of a, it's not really a combo. You can use it as a combo finisher, but it's more of a combo starter. Something to soften up the enemy. What you can do is, you know, you can go into high stance, summon up a yokai, and go into it, slam, and then start your longer combo from, say, your mid stance swings, go into low stance, start a low stance heavy combo, and then, you know, bada bing, bada boom, he's taken a lot of damage. The thing about the Tonfa is they have somewhat low damage, so they're a little bit useless for high damage health targets like bosses. But at the same time, you're going to be applying status effect, which you should absolutely be doing that for any Tonfa, especially the paralysis status effect if you have Hemplock oil, which is good. Alright, next up is Tiger Bite. Do I have it equipped? Yes. This is a mid-stance only heavy attack similar to Mountain Breaker. It is a lot similar, in fact. It fills basically the same role, but as you can see here, it's not always going to hit yokai. It actually kind of attacks mid. Sort of lower on the body. Oh, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will say you're not completely immortal when you're doing Demon Dance, but you will be safe from most attacks that hit you. Alright, that's Tiger's Bite. It's a really hard uppercut that can launch enemies sometimes. Next up is Double Kick. Once again, another it's a low stance only triangle ender, and it's probably the worst one for damage overall. It does very low damage. But as you will see, it hurts Kai. Most of his bar is gone right there. Most of his entire Kai bar just disappeared. Do it in his back. You know, 200 or so. A little bit over 300 damage. But damn, that hurts him. It's also funny because you can't break him out of, like, status effects with this. Not status effects. You can't break him out of, like, burst attacks with this unless you break his Kai, but it does such good Kai damage. Even to yokai, it's alright. I don't think it'll target horns too well, but I think it might. Yeah, against yokai, it's even alright. It's more of a softener tool. You know, you use this, soften them up, then you come in with your big combos. Yeah, there you go. Then you come in with your big combos, and you do all this, and then maybe you soften them up again to get them on the ground. It's a softener tool you can use when approaching an enemy, but I wouldn't suggest using it for, like, anything else than its intended purpose, as it's not very good for anything else. Although it can be pretty good, and it's in low stance, so you have very little, it's very hard to punish you. You have very little, you give the enemy very little chance to punish you from it. Next up is, well, all of the perfect guard counters for this. It's kind of like the Kasaragawa, where it has multiple layers to it. These are very hard to pull off, so give me a moment. There we go. As you can see, 1, 2. There's 2 button presses there. I'm pressing the button 3 times, 1 for the guard counter, and 1 for the 2 attacks. So 1, goodbye, thank you. So 1 for the 2 attacks, and then, come on, hit me. Stop trying to hit me. You get the picture. There we go. You get 1 for the 2 attacks, and then 1 for Dragon Slayer and Dragon Slayer 2. That does kind of leave you open, Dragon Slayer 2, so you might just want to do Dragon Slayer 1 sometimes. That's it. Next up is a mid-stance Wild Lions. It's a mid-stance. It's actually an omni-stance, I believe. I just have it on mid-stance right now. It's a mid-stance combo series. It's very good for ending combination attacks. What I mean by that is you can come in here, you can do something basic like this, into it, and 1, 2, 3, and then go into Wild Lions. It applies a status effect, resets them upright, so you can do something like this, and then into Wild Lions. Pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. Pretty powerful stuff. Now, Wild Lions is actually one of the better ones to use Kanagi with, because it's so long and you can get out of it. It is pretty good to use with Kanagi. But that's about it. Next up is a combo ender, Shove. I believe I have this on high stance. Yes. It does good damage. It also has reasonable Kai damage with it, surprisingly. Other than just knockback, it's actually really good Kai damage. Especially if they're blocking. 1, 2, there you go. And then it does good Kai damage. Keep in mind, it does only apply the status effect of whatever Tonfa is in your right hand, because it attacks with the right. And with the, you know, high stance, you're always going to hit with the right if you immediately cancel it, unless you go into it a little bit more and go to the full combo. Keep that in mind. So if you're using a dual elemental Tonfa, keep that in mind. Next up is Sweep Kick. Oh, Sweeping Kick. I believe this is on... Yep. Sweeping Kick. So... And this one has, yeah, okay. Poke. Sweeping Kick is another strange one. It actually does Kai damage as well, but it has a formidable amount of damage. And you can kind of use it to reposition the enemy. Kinda. It kind of knocks them to the left of you slightly, so you can kind of force them down a certain path if you want to. Or first force them into a certain scenario that you might want them into. There we go. I'm gonna get you with this gravestone and kill you. There we go. So, that is Sweep Kick. Next up is Crimson Lotus. Crimson Lotus is really weird. It's a strong attack combo ender that is Omni stance. And basically, what it does, it's a stab. But it has more than just a stab to it. Crimson Lotus is actually somewhat complex. So, if you read this here, if the Tonfa have the gun special effect, press square, it will perform an additional attack that fires an explosive charge at the enemy. What does that mean? I don't have any of them on me, because they're actually somewhat difficult to get a hold of, except for something like, I believe this might have it. We'll try it out. But what that means is... Whoop. No, okay. What that means is there are some, not frequent, they're kind of rare, but there are some Tonfa in the game which have guns inside of them. This isn't too bad. I've used them occasionally in my playthroughs. They aren't too bad, but I will state, it's not that useful. It also kind of, it is somewhat difficult to use, because the thing is, you use this, slam, stab, and then it goes off very quickly, right? It's the only skill that uses it like that. It's the only skill that uses it like that. It's not very powerful. It goes off like a gun. It hits enemies kind of hard. Does good Kai damage. Your enemies are probably going to be blocking by then, because there is a pretty big gap in between when it happens. Like when you hit your heavy attack and when this combo comes out and when the gun comes out. And it also creates a somewhat large smoke cloud in front of you. It's only there for a second, but it can kind of cloud your line of sight, so I wouldn't use it. Next up is another combo ender. On my low stance right now, it's an Omni combo ender. It's just 2 stabs. Similar story, actually, to Crimson Lotus, right? For the fire explosive charge. Yes, it will do both of them, actually. I believe it'll hit them twice. These do not have an explosive inside of them, but same story, right? You get the picture. Stab forward. It's okay. It hits twice. It's a similar story as to Crimson Lotus. It can be alright, but not the best. And then we have this one. Urgency. Nope. No. Alright, this is one we do not have equipped. So, Urgency is kinda useless. Why, you may ask? Where are you? Where are you? On high stance, I believe. Yes. It's kinda useless, specifically because we already have an attack very much like it. Sorry. Let me take a drink of water real quick. We already have an attack very much like it. It's basically a small pulse forwards that does big Kai damage. It's good. Pretty good. It's only in high stance. Bang. Big Kai damage. Bang. You can knock enemies out of certain stances. Bang. Great. Pretty powerful. It's basically true and through. True and through is probably one of the best skills in the entire game. Bang. Okay. I've got some disappointing news for you. We already have this. In all stances. There it is. It even has a longer attack and does more damage. Urgency is faster, yes, but this skill, which we'll get into later, hurts a lot more. Slightly faster, yes, but it hurts a lot more and applies both status effects for a dual dual Tonfa at once rather than anything else. So, there you go. It's not very good. I would suggest kind of avoiding urgency. This is another weird one. So this is another perfect invasion skill. Perfect evasion skill. They're very hard to do. We've seen this before with the dual swords. What this is, it is a really weird form of iframe that you sometimes get when you're dodging. Right? I'll try and do it here. 1, 2, 3. It's very difficult to do. And it's not very useful because of that. I mean, it can be useful for kind of chaining your dodge. There, I did it. Right there. You can see I kind of zoom backwards, and I have as I'm recovering from my dodge, I have iframes. So that's it. That's literally it. That's it. It's all right. It's kind of useful, somewhat. But other than that, it's kind of weak. Oh, there we saw the additional thing for that combo ender. If you break their Kai with it, you get to grapple them, which is something that you don't see often. It's not too useful though. I will say if the Tonfa actually had additional grapple attacks, it'd be much more powerful. Next on, we're moving into Fleet of Foot. Fleet of Foot is actually quite powerful. It's a redirected dodge. It has, keep in mind, I'm invincible during that entire thing. So, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 1, 2. You can continue with it in the same direction, but you can also just drastically change where you're dodging to, and do a heavy attack like dodge maneuver. So, oh, you also get mad iframes during this. So a good example is, whoop. It's very difficult to pull off thanks to it being tied to the triangle button. I would have made it a third dodge for the Tonfa. It's very powerful though, so I can whoop and then go towards him. As you see, I just phased through his attack, most of his body, in fact. Pretty powerful stuff, but because it gets you so far away from where the hell you're trying to go. Keep in mind, if you're also locked onto an enemy, it'll force you to go towards them. And if you're not locked onto an enemy, you can go in whatever direction you want. But because it's so far, it's actually somewhat... It's not very practical. It's impractical for a fight because it launches you so far. And when you don't want it to launch you very far is probably when you're in a fight trying to get behind an enemy, which is one of its main uses. It's alright. It forces you towards the enemy if you're locked onto him, though. Which can be dangerous and get you killed. You could also, technically, you can accidentally do it with when you're trying to do a heavy attack, but you can get into it pretty quickly. A heavy attack, oh, sorry. Stretch real quick. Sorry. A heavy attack combo. You can accidentally do it instead of that, but you have to be very fast. You would have to be spamming heavy attack combo. I believe that is in mid and low stance only. Yes. Alright, next one up is a similar attack to the dual swords. The dual swords actually have a lot of similarities between these and the TONFA. A lot of similarities, except the TONFA only has a single deflection attack. You charge it, it's 3 simple attacks. 1, 2, 3. They can sometimes miss if you're clinging to the side of the enemy. They'll all hit. Good damage on block, good Kai damage on block, but that's about it. That's about it. To tell you the truth, that's about it. So yeah. Storm Strike. Next up is what we talked about before. Focus Strike. It's just better than Urgency. It's Urgency, but better. It's also kind of like True and Through. More than even Urgency is. So, pretty simple. This can kind of cheese some bosses. Point your weapons forward, you launch forward. Hits them hard. Does good damage. It counts as a mid attack, so I'm regenerating life from this. Because this has melee attack on it. Melee life drain. Simple as that. It's very powerful. It's very fast. It charges quickly. Not as quite as fast as Urgency, but it doesn't take up one of your button presses when you're guarding. Next up is Heavenly Chain, a combo attack ender. Probably the best one in the game. I put this on low stance a lot, but it is one of the best combo attacks in the game. It is a lot of attacks. That's what it was. I pushed triangle once, and then the rest are just Heavenly Chain. And he's already got the status effects on him. Heavenly Chain is doing most of this damage. That was all Heavenly Chain. Most of that damage right there, Heavenly Chain. So, give it something a little bit better. There we go. That is the only attack that Triangle does, that slam. Everything else here, that's Heavenly Chain. It's a very, very powerful combo tool that you can go into different things with. So I can go in from Heavenly Chain, Kai Pulse, into your unique combo here very quickly, and it's a very good combo tool because of that. It's actually so powerful, I'd say it's probably one of the stronger skills in the game. And then Thousand Tongues. This is a really, really weird guard attack. It's a guard counter. It's the only guard counter that you actually have. Keep in mind, you can be broken out of this if your stamina is broken, so yeah, let's do this real quick. So it's very difficult to hit because it's a little bit inconsistent. It's a guard attack where you actually put up your guard, but you counter them, as you saw there. It's alright. You can very easily combo off of this. There you go, and then combo back into it. Kick him on the ground, hit him, get him in stamina break, kinda, and then follow up with a Focus Strike. It can be pretty powerful. You can even go into Focus Strike immediately from it. So, yep. Nope, not quite. See, it's a very stingy. You are blocking during that entire time, though. That's why your stamina can be broken so easily when you do this. Because Tonfa don't have the best block in the game. They have alright block, I do believe, though. Come on. Hit me. There we go. And then his Kai should come back, so he should. Whoop. Ooh. Barely. And then you can do focus immediately from it, and then bang as they're retreating. Some people, sometimes, as you saw there, they will kind of dodge through Focus Strike after this follow-up, but you can do it pretty well. It's a pretty powerful attack. Alright, next up. As we're getting to this next one, I do want to say, if you would like more NIOH skill tree guide videos, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me just how helpful this has been. Or tell me how you already knew all this bullshit in the first place, because you're a massive TONFA player who has like 3,000 hours in TONFA. I don't think there's a single one out there, but maybe you like the TONFA. I'm personally not a big fan of them until I did this skill tree. I had to learn a lot about them. So, Demon Dash. This is alright. It's somewhat useful for fighting yokai particularly. Use a swift dart forward after a successful Kai Pulse. What this does is, your Kai Pulse here. Yep, and then, yep, there we go. It's that simple. It needs to be a full Kai Pulse, though. It cannot be a half. I think it can be, yeah, it can be a half or a quarter or a full, but it can't just be an immediate Kai Pulse. You can't do it right off of an attack, although a lot of the missing Kai you can get from this particular weapon. You're never gonna have a problem not being able to do it off of a half or a full. Although you can't just Kai Pulse immediately, like on something like this. You can just Kai Pulse immediately, so you should be fine. Because you're gonna regenerate it so fast, especially because of your courage stat, you're gonna be good. You'll be fine. You don't gotta worry about when you can do this. Alright, and then Demon Fang, we already kind of saw this. So press triangle after Demon Dance or Demon Dash to attack. If the attack causes the enemy to run out of Kai, you probably know. There you go. So, Kai Pulse, 1, 2, 3, Kai Pulse, Demon Fang. There you go. If it causes them to run out of Kai, as we saw earlier, with our little combo we did. 1, 2, there you go. Grapple, hits them. The Tonfa, if it had more attacks that actually grappled, might be the best weapon in the game. That's not even a joke. If the Tonfa had more attacks that grappled, like this one, it'd be probably the best weapon in the game, because you drain their Kai so quickly, but once you drain their Kai, you can't really do a whole lot with it. And that is it. This is the Storm of Strikes is the secret skill in particular. I'll be going over my suggested Tonfa tree, and then where to get Storm of Strikes. It's quite simple. And then, well, we'll get this done. We'll get this video done. Storm of Strikes is probably the easiest secret skill to get in the entire game. Very easy stuff. So, what do I think of the Tonfa? The Tonfa are a very good weapon that are very good for status effect builds in particular. But if you want quick attacking, high damage attacks, don't come to the Tonfa. Just use the fists. The fists actually encourage multiple rapid attacks more than the Tonfa do, with something like Stomp, with their combo abilities, with their attacks, which just allow you to combo off of them, and like the Tonfa. But the Tonfa, eventually you will have to end that combo with the fists. You don't really got to do that. Knife Hand is a good example. Something like Dreadslayer, which you can combo off of. Gets behind the opponent. That kind of stuff. A lot of these combo enders, especially this one in particular, is kind of good. So yeah, this one is also crazy. The elbow strike. So the fists are much better for just constant rapid attacks, but the Tonfa are very good for applying stats effects, and we'll go over that now. So, my recommended Tonfa skill tree. It's a difficult one, for sure. I was thinking about this for a while, but if you ask me what I'd want to do, I want to pick up all three of these, because you have to. Also, they're very powerful, and all three of these. Then I'd kind of ignore some of these strikes here. Obviously you'd want to pick up this, or if you do want to kind of be into the consecutive attack range, you can pick up this. But I'd go with this since we already have the stuff for it. That's our mastery skill. I'd ignore Mountain Breaker and Tiger. Double Kick you can use for your low stance. I would at least. You can pick up the perfect guards. I honestly wouldn't do that because you're so mobile. I wouldn't do that. Wild Lions is good. Shove you can use. I'd pick up probably these two though. Devastation and Crimson Lotus. I'd kind of ignore that. I'd pick this up though. That is quite useful. Which does give us Focus Strike as well, which is something we want. But I pick up Crimson Lotus and Devastation, just in case you actually have Tonfa with guns in them. And then Heavenly Chain, of course. Which Heavenly Chain does force us to get this as a shove. And keep in mind, Heavenly Chain will replace Devastation, but once again, if you have Gun Tonfa, it works pretty well. 1,000 Tongues you can pick up if you want some counter maneuvers, but I'd personally just pick up Demon Dash, and then Demon Fang, and then this. You want to pick this up. This is actually very powerful. It adds damage. Tonfa and property increases how light your equipment is. Descaling. That's actually very powerful. You want that. That does force us to get Sweeping Kick, though. Keep in mind. So, after that, you got a few left. So, 3 Wars is alright. Reduces Kai damage received when using Tonfa. You're not going to be blocking with it very much, and you won't have too much Kai damage, so 3 Wars is okay. Restlessness is very powerful, so I'd pick that up, which does force us to get some of the Wars, which is alright. It's alright, but more Kai like that is pretty powerful. If you don't want Restlessness, level 3, just spamming Demon Fang and with something like Shadow Strike. Shadow Strike can be pretty powerful, although it wouldn't be the best for the Tonfa. Passage to the Afterlife, if you want to spam Demon Fang, is pretty powerful as well, but that would be my main like skill tree setup here. And then for my setup itself, or the skill setup itself, I'd go with our Mastery skill, Kanagi, Devastation on our top, Heavenly Chain, obviously. We don't have any triangle presses for here, so you could put Sacred Bird Cry or Sacred Bird Flight here. We're not going to be using the triangle presses very much because a lot of them are, well, there's a lot of them are not too good. Obviously you want Heavenly Strike, and I'd put Storm Strike there. Then I'd put Focus here and Focus on the bottom as well. As far as the mid stance goes, I would put Sweeping Kick here, Heavenly Chain, we don't need that, Demon Dance, and then Fleet-Footed. And then over here, I'd put Double Kick, because the stamina damage for it, Heavenly Chain, and Sweep Kick again, then Fleet-Footed, and then Focus Strike. With this sort of build, you're not going to be relying on your techniques very much. You're going to be relying on you just getting in there, applying status effects, and hitting the enemy a ton. You're going to be relying on Wild Lions for your techniques, and that's why we have Kanagi, so we can cancel Wild Lions. And we can also cancel stuff like Demon Dash and such. Alright. Time to go over where you get the Tonfa secret skill. It's pretty simple, actually. Train with Tonfa enough and get deep enough into the game, and you will eventually get Like Lightning, where you fight Hanzo, guy from the first game. Fight Hanzo, he has a chance to drop it in this mission. This is the easiest way to get it, actually. Kind of late game, somewhat, but yeah. He will have a good chance to drop it in this mission. And once he drops it, you will get the skill. It's not very good. I wouldn't suggest picking up the secret skill, but it is a secret skill nonetheless, and I will be going over all of them. So, as you can see, he will also try and hit you. There we go. That combo really hurts. That combo, the Heavenly Chain into Heavenly Chain mid stance into the Kai Pulse combo is really, really powerful. He will also try and hit you with that, and he does gain super armor during that. Keep that in mind. So, whoop. Let's heal. You do get 3 elixirs during all these training missions. I wouldn't suggest picking this up, but if you want all the secret skills, you can get it. I do not judge, and then we can just do Wild Lions. It'll bring him down to death. There we go. And he will sometimes drop what you're looking for. Also, sometimes very powerful Tonfa, like martial arts Tonfas. And Yin Yang Tonfas. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. That is the skill tree guide. Thank you everyone so much for coming. Next up will be the Hatchet skill tree, which will come out in a few days. If you are watching this during like the same day this comes out, I will be having a New Year's celebration tonight. I've got my New Year's outfit already planned out. It looks lovely. It kind of looks like a madman's made it, but whatever. So, thank you everyone so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, as I will be making a full NIOH skill tree guides like this. Thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye.